I've got a little story here to tell you. This is about the Phantom Coach of Whitesburg. In a quiet town of Whitesburg, nestled deep in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, there's a legend that chills the bones of even the bravest souls. On misty nights, when the fog rolls in thick and heavy, folks say they've seen a ghostly horse-drawn coach making its way through the old winding roads. This ain't just a ghost story, though. This one's got a twist that'll leave you shivering. Back in the 1800s, Whitesburg was a bustling little town with a secret. A renowned inventor, Jonathan Hargrove, lived there. Jonathan was a genius with machinery, always tinkering away in his workshop, surrounded by gears and springs and all manners of mechanical marvels. His invention had brought prosperity to Whitesburg, yet his heart remained heavy. His beloved wife, Lida, had passed away suddenly from a mysterious illness, leaving Jonathan a broken man. His grief drove him to the edge of madness, and he threw himself into his work, convinced he could find a way to speak to Lida once more. Jonathan's workshop was a sight to behold. It was a cluttered haven of strange devices, with the smell of oil and metal filling the air. By candlelight, he pored over ancient text and strange diagrams, drawing inspiration from both science and the occult. His neighbors worried for him, whispering among themselves about the strange noises and flickering lights coming from his home. But Jonathan paid them no mind. He was consumed by his quest to bridge the gap between the living and the dead. One stormy night, after years of tireless work, Jonathan unveiled his creation. The horse-drawn coach was unlike anything the town had ever seen. It was a marvel of engineering, with intricate carvings and strange glowing runes etched into the surface. The coach seemed almost alive, its mechanical parts glinting eerily in the dim light. Jonathan believed the coach could transport him to the spiritual world to reunite with Lida. With a heart full of hope and desperation, Jonathan hitched his best horses to the coach and set off into the night. The townfolk watched in awe and fear as he disappeared into the fog, the sound of his coach's wheels fading into the distance. But Jonathan never returned. The next morning, his coach was found at the edge of a dense forest, the horses gone and the coach empty. Jonathan had vanished without a trace. Years went by, and the tale of Jonathan and his mysterious coach became a legend. But then, on certain foggy nights, folks began to report seeing a spectral coach, its mechanical parts moving with an eerie, otherworldly precision. The driver, a shadowy figure with glowing eyes, was said to be Jonathan himself, forever trapped between worlds. The coach moved silently, its gears clicking and wheels turning as if guided by unseen hands. Those who encounter the Phantom Coach spoke of strange experiences. Some claimed they were transported to another realm, seeing visions of the past and future. They described landscapes that shimmered with an unnatural light, where time seemed to stand still. Others report hearing Lida's voice calling out from beyond, her words filled with sorrow and longing. The most unsettling account described a chilling sensation, as if the very fabric of reality was unraveled around them. Some even said they felt a cold hand brush against their skin, leaving them with an overwhelming sense of dread. The coach is often seen near the old Hargrove workshop, or along the path to the forest where Jonathan vanished. Those who encounter it describe an overwhelming sense of curiosity mixed with dread. Some believe the coach appeared to offer glimpses into the mysteries of the afterlife, while others think it's a warning to those who meddle with forces beyond their understanding. One foggy night, a young man named Tommy, curious and brave, decided to seek out the Phantom Coach. He had heard the stories all of his life and wanted to see for himself. Armed with only a lantern and his courage, Tommy ventured down the old road leading to the forest. The fog was so thick he could barely see a few feet ahead, but he pressed on, determined to uncover the truth. As Tommy walked, the air grew colder and an unnatural silence settled around him. Suddenly, he heard a faint sound of wheels creaking and gears clinking. His heart pounded in his chest as a spectral coach emerged from the mist, its ghostly form illuminated by an eerie blue glow. The driver, a shadowy figure with piercing, glowing eyes, stared directly at Tommy. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Tommy felt a strange pull as if the coach was beckoning him to come closer. Against his better judgment, he stepped forward. As he did, he heard Lida's voice, faint but unmistakable. "Help me," she whispered, her voice filled with anguish. Tommy's lantern flickered, casting eerie shadows around him. Gathering his courage, Tommy called out, "Jonathan, can you help me? What do you want?" The figure on the coach raised its hand, and the air around Tommy seemed to ripple. In an instant, he was no longer on the road, but in a realm unlike any he had ever seen. The landscape was a swirling mix of colors and shapes, and he could feel the presence of countless spirits around him. Lida appeared before him, her form shimmering like a mirage. "Jonathan's trapped here between worlds," she said, her eyes filled with sadness. "He tried to bring me back, but now he's lost. You must help him find peace." Before Tommy could respond, he was pulled back to the road. The spectral coach disappeared into the fog. Shaken but determined, he knew he had to find a way to free Jonathan. He sought out the town's elders, who told him of an ancient ritual that might sever the ties binding Jonathan to the Phantom Coach. With their guidance, Tommy gathered the necessary items: a silver mirror, a sprig of sage, and a drop of his own blood. On the next foggy night, he returned to the old road and performed the ritual. As he chanted the ancient words, the air grew colder and the ground beneath him trembled. The spectral coach reappeared, its form more solid than before. The driver now fully visible as Jonathan stepped down and approached Tommy. "Thank you," Jonathan said, his voice a mixture of relief and sorrow. "I can finally be with Lida." With the final ethereal glow, the coach and its driver vanished, leaving Tommy alone on the road. The fog lifted, and the first light of dawn broke through the trees. Tommy knew he had done something extraordinary, something that would be remembered in Whitesburg for generations. Despite the passage of time, the legend of the Phantom Coach of Whitesburg endures. Locals advise against traveling the old roads on misty nights, lest you encounter the ghostly carriage and become part of its haunting tale. The story serves as a reminder of the dangers of obsession, the thin line between genius and madness, and the unyielding quest for answers that may never be found. If you ever find yourself in Whitesburg on a foggy night, keep your ears open and your eyes peeled. You might just catch a glimpse of the Phantom Coach and hear the haunting echoes of a man who dared to defy the natural order in his desperate quest for love and knowledge. And if you're brave enough, like Tommy, you might even uncover the truth behind the legend and help those trapped between worlds find their peace.